Get this bagel.
Well, right. You don't got a bagel. You trying to order a bagel, man?
Loco, yo no estoy comiendo carne, yo tengo hambre siempre, loco. La carne es como que te siente como que tú comiste, ¿tú me entiendes?
Oh, tea is hot as hell. Yeah.
Cuando yo no, imagínate comiendo todo ese arroz, loco, para que te sientas lleno. Eso es mucho. Yo no sé tú, pero eso para mí es mucho arroz, loco. No puedo comer tanto arroz así. Y
Listen.
ahora que no estoy comiendo carne, yo no me siento lleno, loco, no me siento lleno. Yo estoy diciendo, no me siento. Y yo estoy metiendo casi 15 millas, loco, imagínate. Yo no me siento lleno, loco. Yo siempre estoy una maldita hambre, loco. Me puedo comer 3 vacas. 3 vacas ahí, loco.
Damn, that's putting in some work.
Yo,
No,
bro,
ahí está uno, no, está dedicado ahí tú estás bien.
loco.
Quisiera yo, pero I'm on that. I didn't get on my fast today because, I was like, let me relax. But, hey,
Shit, oh,
man,
it
you,
ain't easy, bro.
no, I see you're el hambre, so I feel you. No, but you're doing your thing, bro. I mean, this is amazing, man. And then I know, uh, yeah, you're going without that's a source of protein that is pretty easy to get by.
Yo, bro, that's
And so not having it when you chat trouble, man. Trouble. Um, so I would have to fix my camera for a little bit. My shit was looking crazy. Um, yeah, man. So we got
you.
this live panel discussion. We are on live. I put the hand claps and all that. I want to start switching to like Zoom or something. So like when I share audio and I do the hand clap and audio clap, I want like people who hop on to have discussions with us to hear all that stuff because I think it's cool. I have like little sound effects and stuff, so kind of adds to the conversation and it's a little funny. So, um, Yeah, man. There's that. But anyway, we had a nice intro conversation to start us off today, man. We're back again. It's Al. I'm joined again by Nips, man. I'm gonna do the claps. I have to lower them claps.
I'm doing,
You
I'm doing, I'm doing the hands like they clapping, but
You'll hear it in the playback, man. And whoever's tuning in hears the claps that I probably got to turn on the volume on. All right. Uh, so today,
now
uh,
look, we on. What are we on today, bro?
yeah. So this panel discussion for today would be around dating. Okay, so I'm gonna just start there. Like, and when it comes to dating, there's obviously a lot we can break down, and so we're hoping that Rob, who did, we left off last week's conversation where we were addressing dating, um, and some of the challenges when it comes to like the dating scene, so to speak, for men. And we're going to get into that today a little more. I know Rob has some questions for us as a panel to consider. However, uh, hopefully, if Rob gets to join us, let's see, he'll let me know. And if not, we're definitely gonna get to it anyway. Him and I actually, what I didn't get to tell you, Nips, in time because the day the way it went, it was just that we were thinking of rescheduling to Wednesday, because Rob and I really were just trying to go in person, as well. But either way, it works out, man. We here live, and I think keeping this going every Monday, has been very useful for me, and so we're gonna keep this going. And so I will say, Nips, to start off, we usually do our feelings, so we're gonna get there. But I'm gonna throw a little bit of a curveball at you with an additional theme and topic that I also think is relevant, as always, but definitely I think to men, is grief, and grieving. So,
Hmm,
um,
heavy.
I already got some questions I think for you to consider, and as one of our panelists. Um,
Go ahead.
but grieving is I got some thoughts there that I want to share, and then we'll go from there. And then if we get to dating, we'll get to dating because there's also some other questions we were had ahead of this topic for today. So before we get to it, though, man, how are you feeling coming in today? Is March 17th, 2025, man. The year's rolling on. The year's fucking rolling on, but
He's rolling on. I mean, I feel good overall. I feel great. Happy to see better days, I guess, and legitimately just better days. Like sun is out, the weather's getting better. Um and that makes me feel good. So
mm,
just I'm just gonna ride on that. The winter it's been interesting. Um it's been new things in this winter. There's been typical things in this winter. And it's good to just move into this new sunny,
yeah, man.
more lighter days.
Yeah, man. We got spring coming up.
Super, like
Thursday is it Thursday? Oh wait, I may be bugging out. Is it
it's day 21st. It's good to just be outside. It's
yeah,
good to hang out, just legit. Doesn't not necessarily like do anything wild. Just having good like I love that a lot.
yeah.
Good breeze.
Now, got you, Nips. I am gonna challenge you a bit though, because in the spirit of what Rob had going on here is that when I did notice last week I asked you how you feeling, you said good, and then you said good again, which good is technically not a feeling. So I sent you something on your WhatsApp because it's easier for me to do it on my PC. I don't have a Mac, y'all. If I had a Mac, I'd be whatever. Anyway, Android, baby. I sent you something on WhatsApp, so you're gonna look at it and then pick a feeling from there. We gotta think that would describe a bit more of where you at, because I almost heard like a bit of exhaustion in your voice. But it's been a hell of a fucking week. Oh wait. Oh, Answer first. I have another question for you.
I would probably put it under. It's very interesting. It's between happy and surprised.
Have been surprised.
Hmm. I would probably go to, because I see that in what you sent me. The core has happy, sad, disgusted, angry, fearful,
Mm-hmm.
bad. So I'm trying to start there and work my way out into those things. It's definitely not sad, disgusted, angry, fearful, or bad.
We're not
I
there.
say it's happy and surprised, but then it's like happy and surprised because it's like amazed a little bit and astonished. Happy because I'm content and feel like curious.
Mm,
At the same time, I feel proud and confident.
yeah, you're in the yellow area, man. That's good.
And like in the yellow,
Yeah.
there's a little bit of that surprise, like
Okay.
purple
You have a little purple.
type type of idea. If I were to like go under that wheel,
Yeah.
you know, I say surprised and like I add that in there because I don't know. Typically, the winter time, the dark times, puts me in a bad, sad, fearful, disgusted, angry mood.
Yeah.
Typically, I would have those feelings more, but the surprise comes in because I think this winter in a long time has been the opposite, where I'm happy, but then also surprised that s- those feelings didn't like overtake.
Yeah.
So like I hope that makes sense. That
Yeah. 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 I think I follow for sure.
like like typically I would feel negatively, so I'm happy that I don't
Yeah.
overall. Not, and it's not to say that there hasn't been moments of sadness or fearfulness or disgusted or sadness. Like,
Right.
what can you do?
Yeah.
But I am surprised that it turned out this way.
Yeah. Winters are rough, man. Winters are rough. So in a way, that's positive news. Sounds like pretty much this winter has been kinder. Not that it still wasn't rough, because winters are rough, man. Winters are rough in general.
If I go from December 21st, right,
Yeah.
to now March
Almost
21st,
March 21st. Yeah.
like those are the things that and what have I been able to experience that set of time versus the previous sets of time. And there has been a lot of just different things. I've traveled more during this winter. Mm, Even if it was to Philadelphia, I want I don't do that.
Right. Yeah. Done. Yeah.
I'm scared financially normally. It's a very heavy time. It's the holiday season. It's, my birthday. It's my daughter's birthday. So it's always been financially taxing for me, in which I don't contribute to those type of things. But I've been blessed enough this year that I've been able to do so.
Yeah.
And that in its turn creates a big bubble of happiness for me, because that one simple thing, I'm like, okay, we're moving in a place where things are more to like how I would like life to be, like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
join it whenever, not just because it's set. It doesn't have to be in the summer, like middle of winter, let's go, we out. And so, a lot of it is contributed to those type of changes.
Yeah, man. That's dope, bro. That's dope. Um, because you're trying new things, and I think that's right. We got to do what we can with these seasons, yo. There's a way to enjoy every season, and I do. It's not just in the holidays, which the holidays are always stressful, but they're always usually the most fun times. And then after the holidays, it feels like it's just cold.
Exactly, because that's back into the how do you
but it's like, you know, there's things to still do, man. You know,
Look,
I didn't get
and
to go snowboarding, which is one thing I did want to do this winter, and but I mean, imagine this spring is just
right there.
you know, and I don't know about doing any indoor skiing. I know that's a thing, and snowboarding, like American Dream has that.
Yeah, that is a thing apparently. But you know, yeah, finding the ways to just stay over that line. You know,
Hmm.
just sometimes it doesn't need to be as hard as we think.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the traveling, yeah, is difficult during that time, but screw it, I'll do it again.
Yeah, man. Travel if you can, man. And those of you who can, I think that's the best we can do.
No
Um,
matter when, right? Like when can you
yeah,
do the whole thing? Like
if you
I,
can
I
do it in the
tell
winter, it's cold, you can figure it out, man.
but
Figure it
they're
out.
trying to put the perspective of like, you're always gonna have things. Things are always gonna be there, no matter when. And if it works out that way, then it just works out that way.
Yeah.
And making the effort to make it work out that way because that's genuinely something you want. I genuinely want to be able to travel during my birthday that happens to be during the winter. Like, leave me alone. So it's good to be able to do that.
Yeah, man. Shout out to the winter traveling, but winter is over in like a couple more days. Although it's type brick right now. It's kind of cold. But
A little chilly,
fret
but
not, man, because spring is on the way. So we got some lovely weather. I man, and as I said, I'm looking forward to biking. So if I had to move things along, I'd say I'm feeling where was that wheel at again? I'm a bit I would say green, some green there. In terms of tired, you know, and not just tired. I think mentally tired. Um, there's a lot of stuff that I do think I've sat on that just weighs on me. That makes me tired. Um, and I am hopeful though. I do think there are some other things that I am looking forward to, and I think the spring, and as you mentioned, just warmer weather, um, more daylight. Um, the workouts in the park. I worked out in the park last week. I'm aiming to hopefully, you know, I mean,
yeah,
weather should permit tomorrow, so I'm gonna hit the park again tomorrow, and probably another day later in this week. So I like my workouts in the park here, so I'm looking forward to that. Getting on the bicycle again, you know.
yeah,
So you know, there's some things I'm hopeful about and looking forward to
that's
as
good.
as far as the thing, as far as like what the spring brings. Anyway, so in the interest of time, I think I want to save usually the highlights for later. Yeah, I want to save the highlights for later. You know what I want to? Damn. Uh, shit, the screen sharing problems. But um, because so again, the two topics. So the I don't know which one will call to you more dating. If there's any thoughts we had there, but maybe we could leave it on side because I think grieving would be the bigger one. And you know, grieving being a issue. Well, one, I know you've known this, Nips, is that like it's the 5th year anniversary of like COVID. Like right now, this time 5 years ago, we were all like, "What the fuck is going on?" Excuse my language, but we were like, 5 years ago today, we were like, "What?" We were all, "What the f? We can't go outside." Like literally, like 3/17/2020, we were probably
Yeah,
like, "This is the weekend." This is
yeah.
that Monday. This is like basically the week after we already got the news, and we're like sitting now for a whole week, and we're like, wait,
Bro,
we really home for a whole week right now, and we
I
can't go
I
outside.
thought it was. I thought it was 2 weeks. I can
You
tell you
really
right
believe
now.
that? You was like,
I was like, no,
no.
it's 2 weeks now. We'll be all right. They're not gonna shut us down. Like what? Yeah, laughing at this whole situation. Like they're not shutting us down. Like what are you talking about? And when we went one week, and I think that first week, 'cause I think they initially said 2 weeks.
Yeah, Everything was
right?
2 weeks. Already, especially
That was,
in the school. If you work for a school, I don't know if other sectors and other
I don't believe
industries
it.
told their people 2 weeks.
I
I
ain't
know in the
believe it.
education, they told us, you know,
I ain't believe it.
we'd be back in 2 weeks.
They said 2 weeks. I was like, I will be back in 2 weeks.
Nips. You
I
know.
didn't believe it. What I'm trying to say is how serious they were taking it. And when I started noticing that, that they were like, yo, think about, like, think about a month from now, like, what's going on here, and when I then started noticing,
Then the next meeting is like, we might have to consider shutting the year down.
yeah,
Actually,
exactly, that's when like the second week started coming in, like, when are we gonna, I don't think we're coming back, player. I was like, what?
huh? Huh?
I was like, what are you talking about? We're not, what? And then the next thing you know, I found myself buying a whole new system to do like online everything.
That was oh man, that was everyone.
Need a new desk. I need a
Then
new everything.
oh man,
What are you talking about?
that's dope. Yo, listen, I remember that frenzy, dogs. Rob is joining us, so I'm gonna let me see. Give me a quick second, trying to set up here. I just didn't anticipate that it was, you know, because I saw what had happened in China at first, and saw what the effort at Wuhan was. They did like they constructed a freaking hospital within like a week span or 2 weeks, and that's how they got it under control. Like, but that's the type of effort it took to even manage it. And I'm like, look at what we're doing. We're not, but what a wild time, man. You remember the fireworks? Remember
Yeah,
the
yeah.
remember
We
the
were
fireworks in June, dogs? You remember the
we were bored
fireworks in
because
June?
they started fireworks immediately after. It was never ending. And then that 4th of July.
Ooh.
I never understood. I was like, what are people doing? Like, people are there's someone that is driving, like, wherever fireworks are legal. I'm assuming Pennsylvania. There's someone that's like driving over there during this pandemic,
Yeah.
like refilling up and like coming back on some like boom to supply. Because where were we getting all of these fireworks from?
Listen,
Like it must have
important
been.
questions, dogs.
Yo, I was just very on some like, no, it's gonna stop. It's gonna stop, and it
Yo,
went all the way to
dude.
July 4th, and it
Yes.
legitimately exploded
Yeah.
that night. There was
Yes.
so many fireworks. I was
Yes.
like, oh wow.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
but then I remember it still being September.
and you were still here, fucking fireworks, dude.
Randomly,
It got
like,
crazy.
what's going on, bro?
It got crazy. It got crazy.
That must have been one of the most interesting.
Bro, I wish I could find the video for you, man. I have a video where I went up to my aunt's, Eddie's roof right here. I forgot why I was there. I can't recall like why I was there exactly. Like why I was in her crib, but I heard the fireworks going off, and I remember I'm like I could get to the roof. I went to the roof, bro, and I gotta find where I put that video. But I took a video. I did a 360, and you see fireworks going off all over the Bronx. And in the distance, you see fireworks going off in the distance, and I'm like, this is crazy. And I do the same thing in Kruger. So in Pelham Parkway one night, I go up there. I gotta find those videos. I think in my old phone. But I go up there one night that they just going off, and I'm like, nah, this is crazy. So I go upstairs and I record. I'm like, look at all these fireworks just going off. You see them in the distance going off, and I'm like, the same. Like I'm sure someone has documented that whole because it was literally from like June 1st to July 4th corrido. Then they took a little break, and then like you said, they were still going off though all the way through September,
No, they
October.
started early with them fireworks, bro. They started with the fireworks.
It was crazy, bro. One night they had me sick because where in Kruger there was that little alleyway in between where the apartment was, and somebody used to go back there and go off. I'm like, okay, I could deal with it in the daytime because I'm listening to music. I could block it off. But like when you going off for fireworks and it's 3 in the morning, like I might file a noise complaint. I might be the person. It might,
I might be that guy. I
I
might
might be that guy.
be that guy. I'm sorry.
Cause that
Sorry.
the fireworks were kind of like the whole COVID thing. You thinking, all right, they're gonna stop after like a day. All right, they've been wilding now. They've been doing this. It's been a week already. All right, they're really ODing right now. It's been 2 weeks straight, and then they really going off for the whole month through July 4th.
They went off, bro. They went off. I feel like there was like this unknown Telegram channel that they were just like, I bet I got more fireworks than you. The other guy was like, nah, who you think you playing with? And then some other guy was like,
Yep. I got fireworks.
You think y'all playing with? And then it just like went crazy from there because then some other guy was like, y'all just wilding. Y'all know nothing about fireworks. I got it. And then, all right, put your hands up, put your fireworks up.
And then
it's going crazy.
Yo, it probably was that way, man. They had to have some sort of secret connected channel.
Bro, because the way that thing just started popping off, there's no way it was just random.
No way, bro. Maybe, but what? That's got to be the most random event of human history.
Everything happens, because the thing is, listen. I guess what I'm trying to say is put into perspective what happens on July 4th. That's always been a orchestrated type of challenge type thing. And so then I'm bringing that into like how they started earlier. They orchestrated that challenge, bro. It had to be, bro. It had to be on some like.
Hopefully someone come. Yo, if that's you out there, you listen. Yo, come out with it. We want to hear your story. If you were the person that sent that telegram.
Yo, bro, I need to know more about how we got to that because it's there's a lot of mysteries of COVID. One of them is the fireworks. I'm sorry. There's a lot of whole other list.
That's top 5. After Monkey started it. But yeah, man, that was definitely one of the wildest, moments of that spoke to just that time period of wildness. And so kind of like bringing it full circle to grieving. Right, here we are 5 years later, and we could probably all three remember that moment like it was yesterday, so it, obviously being into mental health, it's always challenging, I think, and interesting for me every year as I learn about grief, as I think about my own grief, just like how tough it is as a concept, and then not just a concept, but how tough it is as a feeling. As an emotion, as an experience that we have as humans, and then the healing that is required, and that in order to get through such a difficult experience of grieving, and so thinking about COVID, man, like how many wild events we didn't really get to still process, for many of us. I mean, thankfully, I can't say not, I do think I've had this kind of conversations, and we laughed about the fireworks before, and we definitely laughed and talked about the fireworks as they were happening because it still was a crazy time. But, um, then it's just take into account what we even lost in that time period, um, because in many ways the world did stop, and there was a loss, and then there was some sort of like yeah, there was a loss, and then obviously there, many people experience actual human losses due to COVID. People were dying and dropping, and you would hear about folks passing away, and even, you know, um, you hear some of your family members having COVID, and then so you don't know if they're gonna be okay or not, and then some people got it bad, and then, like so much uncertainty that we went through at that time period, that so much trauma, uncertainty and trauma, and then at the same time there was also a lot going on in society where there was like a reinvigoration of like us figuring out that like, yo, we don't have to do things in the old traditional ways anymore, right? Remote work made it seem like, okay, we can actually do this. We're taking drinks outside and bars for the first time. We're like, wait, we could do this. We're dining outside, right? At the same time, I think society was also going through a lot of like cool changes and like things that seem to have advanced us. But it's like, how are we advancing a couple of months after just literally one of the most tragic events that we will that it's in the history books. You know what I mean? Like 100 years from now, 200 years from now, this is that event that like COVID-19 when it struck 2020 the world, boom, right? And that year, it shit hit us in March, and by like September 2020, niggas is excuse me, but people partying outside, and crypto is banging, and NFTs are coming out, and like people making money online and scams, and it seems like we're entering some sort of weird prosperous time, but it's like no, we're not. And so I still worry and fear for the folks that haven't grieved all of that yet. I mean, even for myself, I still have, I'm talking to right now, even saying it, and it's still like just kind of like at the same in real time, still struggling with like everything that happened, and then even myself, like what the personal things that were happening to me at that time, and I'm still grieving certain things while trying to understand and feeling the weight of this major event, you know. Um, and so with grieving,
Let- let's,
here's what I'm sorry, but yeah.
um, ultimately, in regards to like to grieving and then like COVID, it does. COVID is a marker of my life. Very much well, like 9/11 is a marker of my life, and I, something I define a marker is something that there was a before, this thing happened, and then there's a after,
Yeah.
right? And some people might put in other markers. I guess that for me, I'm able to just put those two,
Mm-hmm.
right, as big things that occurred that were like affecting us all, that created this change. And not having the things that we used to know is difficult because you just can't do things pre-COVID anymore, right? There's some things that are that were left to that time era, and there are things that are like brought into this new era, just like 9/11. There were things that were pre 9/11. There are things that are post 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
There's huge markers in society that dictated new waves of things, and like
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally
but
agree.
like going, like
Yeah.
let's try to put it into physical things, or like not physical things, but things that we're currently going through today. For example, in New York, contactless payments, you completely eliminated the need for cash. Cash is a thing of the past. I'm sorry, and that's a pre-COVID thing where cash may have been useful. But because of how COVID worked, this whole idea of not having to have this physical thing to continue contamination, everybody expanded on contactless payments, where now you go everywhere that you go. I could Zelle you, I could this, I could that, I could use my little tap thing and be about my way. That is something new that is going to impact maybe not us because we know of the past, but what about the young generation? They don't know anything about what a dollar looks like. You give them a $20 bill and a $1 bill, their interpretation of it will be equal. Versus if you gave a child money pre-COVID, they're probably going to inspect it to see if it's a dollar, 5, 10, or 20.
20, yeah. And then on top of that, check if it's real.
Not to say that not all of them, but like more likely
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
they
yeah.
versus now
Well,
that
yeah.
they just don't know any of that because of just even I don't have I don't have cash. My daughter sends me requests on Apple Pay and I send it to her.
Mhm.
Dollars. You know what I'm saying? Impacts. That's what we're talking about here. What are the befores and what are the afters? And
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the idea of grieving is like, to me, it just brings nostalgic things, the things that I used to know, the things that I used to connect with more. Um, and yeah, and COVID brought in a lot more grieving just past that too, because you had individuals that did, pass away and stuff like that. A lot of things that occurred during that time that was just that can give you that feeling of like, you
Yeah.
know, grief and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Oh, and it's grieving being about loss, right? And as right, so even losing this access to, like, again, this pre-COVID and things that existed and things and things that we're moving on to, that like, right, signifies um this quick change. But again, even thinking about that now, as you mentioned that, like, right, how we're already shifting, because I think we could have all guessed that we were gonna eventually go to like a cashless probably type of mode of payment, but I think the acceleration in which
the,
thing
the
the
one of the biggest
technology,
questions was how, and
right, and so
and
now you see we saw an event.
if it was intentional or not, don't know, but that's how essentially one of the big contributors to contactless payment was COVID. Like if there
Because
was
it
something else,
existed to some degree. I think tap pay did exist before COVID. No.
it did exist before, but
Right.
it wasn't as
Yeah.
accessible
I
in
think
place.
buses
You
had
go
like,
anywhere
yeah.
now. That's what it did exist. It's not about existing or not. It's
No,
like
no, but now you could go put that on your phone. Anybody could, like, yeah.
the adapting of it and where it was being adapted to.
Right.
Like the amount of people the amount of businesses and folks that were adapting to it, it definitely increased during that amount of time. And it was and it's right, like, for the benefit of society to like prevent something from happening and still being able to like trade or buy things without you having to like risk the idea of like having to wash your physical money away from bacteria. Like, sure, that makes sense. Like, it's not like it's this huge controversy as to like why it occurred. It makes absolute sense to try to have the technology to do so. Why not use it? But it answered the question that we had. What was the thing that's going to make us go there to that point that we are today? And that was COVID. Just like TSA with 9/11. TSA didn't exist before 9/11. They existed after 9/11. So like that's what we have to deal with. And so here we are.
How much in existence was crypto?
Oh,
If
and crypto
anyone knows.
existed
It
because
was
crypto
already
existed.
in
Yeah, yeah,
existence.
yeah. It's already in existence.
It was already in
Yeah, I
Yeah,
existence.
don't know.
It
that it
was
was. Yeah,
what
Bitcoin, even like Ethereum and all of that, because you could have invested in it through Robinhood before COVID.
what COVID did for the crypto market was create larger awareness of the type of technology that existed. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
everyone at that point was legit. Think about it.
Everyone's
Most
inside now, so you have to experiment. You have to look at what the means are to use the technology that's around you. Yeah, people got put onto Twitch on live streaming, even though Kai Cenat was already a Twitch streamer before COVID,
this is the thing. This is
but
the thing.
helped blow him up. But all this stuff was there.
There's a large percentage of us that are consumers of technology, strictly consumers, meaning we do not use technology to create. A large percentage. That means that there's a large percentage of people consuming different types of media, consuming, not creating it, consuming. We got to stick on that. And so when you have a lot of people that are in a system in which they're saying you have to shut down for 2 weeks and you give them the ability to vocalize their ideas and their thoughts and their ways of being progressive, generating money, whatever, and you have a population of people that just consume, what I'm saying? Like, we're going to get into this idea of awareness where people are just learning more about this. They want to try it on their own. They want to see what it's about. It's less risk than what you typically see, which is more attractive to us. We trust the stock market just because of what's been occurring and what it's already been established and who it's for, right? Our generation. We do want to trust something and to make money. This new idea seemed to be like good. A lot of people were vocalizing on it. So we went ahead and bought into it. It is not this crazy idea of mystery. It actually makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Crypto was in existence before it. It ballooned heavily because you had these people that were able to just vocalize, had time to vocalize on their success around it.
Do you
So
think they gave us enough time, well, us as a society, and the conversation of grief? Do you think that it was maybe a little too fast, too thrusted upon for some? Like, when you think about having to grieve what was passing, like actually,
what to Rob's point, that's why the whole MAGA movement exists. There are people that do feel that things are moving in a way, however you want to categorize that.
Right.
Fashion. It doesn't need to be money. It could be fashion. It could be societal things. There are people that will feel that um, something needs to be done about the way things are going,
Oh yeah.
and it's a lot to do with grieving and having an understanding how things used to be. And again, we see it in society. The biggest thing that we see in America right now is something like the MAGA movement that has been great in like establishing that thing with them. That's their movement. That's their idea. They're saying we don't like this new way of thing. I support the new way, right? I support that we
Mm.
have to progress. They don't, right? And so there's a lot of them that they've been able
Mm.
to create impact because of that, right? So like this idea of grief can be something that is useful or not useful depending on which side
Yeah.
you're on. But people do get caught up with how things used to be and really don't want to fuck with like how things are going, that they can't let it go. And grief has most of grief is the idea of letting go, right? And being able to just accept the new, right? We go through, even if it's in a relationship, even if it's somebody that you have lost, is like this idea of like it's not like that anymore, right? And how is it like, and how can I like live in what that new space is, right?
Yeah.
It's complicated.
Yeah. And I think because we don't get enough time to do that, and I was going to ask, I think one of the questions I thought to bring up is really how do you know your style of grief? Like, do you know how you grieve, um and perhaps how's that changed? Because, and I bring that up because if I think about how I saw men around me grieve is the typical uh isolation, stoicism, in terms of like not really showing any outward emotion through the physical, right? Like not crying, not necessarily looking stoic, right? So stoicism. So I think that I've seen men try to grieve through alcohol, right? So men who do pour out their tears and voice themselves, but under the influence of alcohol, and that's how they express their grief. And then I see men express grief through anger and self sabotage. So allowing themselves to falter and not taking care of themselves. So you know, uh, and then I well, this is for the most part, that's how I've seen men, get through grief. And so for myself, even, wondering how I've gotten through grief, and I think similarly, I've gone through bouts of isolation, denial, which is, they say is part of the 5 stages, but I think denial in terms of telling myself that I'm okay, telling myself that I logically understand that I lost something, you know, and then telling myself that because I can logically understand that I lost something, then that means I'm okay and I can move on and I can live. But it's like, you're not okay, dude. And trying to talk to myself like you're not okay. Like this actually does feel, you feel this pain, because grief is, much like getting over loss. Grief is about is pain. is accompanied by pain, and that's what makes it tough, you know. In addition to like the guilt and confusion. So,
And I guess,
yeah,
also like going back to like, you know, masculine grief.
yeah,
Like there are things that I felt emotion, or, you know, not no more, but growing up, things that I would want to do, like cry, I would suppress because my perspective was that feeling didn't belong to men.
right, yeah.
That thing didn't belong to. So like, even though I saw how, like you were saying, like how so the examples of men around you grieving and what that was, I think I saw a lot of women be healthier with dealing with the different levels of grief. That I had examples, but because the stigma around what is masculinity, I didn't engage with because I felt that it didn't belong to me. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like it was complex and like you're a kid, you whatever. They tell you, oh, boys, you know, you don't cry, you don't do this, you don't do that. And so like when you are grieving and when you get to these, when you're older, a teenager, even, you know, young 20s, and you want to do that, you're like, something's wrong with me. Like
Yeah. You
something's
suppress it
wrong
so long. Yeah.
because you're not supposed to be wanting to cry this way. Why do I need to like get drunk so it could be acceptable? You know, like if I was sober and I would cry, the conversation around the people around me would be completely different if I was drunk and I would cry. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I was drunk and I would cry, there's more acceptance to it, apparently, right? It's like, oh, he's drunk,
Yeah. You
right?
get a
And
little,
whatever. But if I'm sober and I started crying, I don't know if people would be so accepting to it. You know, I don't know. I think now, because I don't give a F about like that, but you're gonna have to take it, right? If I'm sober and crying, you're gonna whoever's around me is gonna just have to take it. Think of it what you will. But at such a younger age, those were not the practices that I should have done, right? I should have definitely cried sober instead of crying drunk.
drunk, yeah.
Like they're two different things. Like
If you
crying.
crying drunk, you had a lot.
But the thing is that
That's
we do it
another
because
thing, you know.
the thing is that we're more comfortable in doing it because one, the alcohol, and two, you're drunk because of
Yeah.
the alcohol. Like it's legit because of that, and no one's gonna look at you wild. No
Or
one's
just
gonna look
kind
at
of,
you.
yeah.
No one's gonna
Just
look at you as a sissy, as a pussy, as a punk, as all these things that we were scared of being labeled because you can't do that shit sober. The minute you were sober and crying, you felt, not that it was necessarily important, but you felt that you were being put under negative categories that you didn't want to be put in. Or this nigga was crying the other day because he lost his shorty or some bullshit. Like, come on. No one would say that if I was twisted. No one would say that. It'd be 100% acceptable, and it has everything to do with what you said, I feel.
yeah.
The fact that I saw my father grieve only when he was grieving the way that I see grief, only when he was like, you know, a little bit, he
Yeah.
was drunk, but then he had a couple in him, is what I'm trying to say. If he was doing that sober, maybe I'll be more comfortable in doing it too. But that was not the case.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting how that like the action, you know, for self, can be so contagious in both good and bad ways, right? Like how you said, if I was anyone, if they were the example, perhaps it would have affected you. But then even not thinking about that, and you know, I don't know if they consciously even try to suppress sometimes because it's really just trying to get through, right? It ends up being a counter effect of getting through a substance. You're actually suppressing yourself because you're not just allowing yourself to do it. I wonder, you know, it's in that. I wonder, like, if we're at a time where that, you know, doesn't have to be so contagious. Because I do feel like I see it. You know, I still see it. I think social media can be a proper tool where, you know what I'm saying, people expose those things and have these conversations.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird, man. I do see it, and sometimes nowadays I feel like I see it, and I question if it'll even make the internet. Because if people won't free themselves and give it, you know what I'm saying? They'll hide behind, what the real world is. But nowadays, how many like even because of COVID, how many times are we actually really seeing people in person? You know, it's a very very good conversation. It's like, man, I, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
have you thought about your style of grieving and your way of grieving?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I relate to everything you guys were saying. I
Yeah.
definitely was one who would isolate, and that became very evident.
Wait. Hold on. Y'all still don't isolate?
No, I
Um,
still do. That's what I'm saying. No, wait.
so I share too. Like
Nah, I still do.
it's
I
not
still
that
do.
I
I can't
don't.
front. I can't front. And
No, look,
I will
that's
say.
what I wanted. That's what
No,
I
no, no.
wanted.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I want
no,
to
of
give
course.
both of you a shout out actually now, real quick, because I think in the past year you both have like called me in times where it's like, yo, just what's up, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna tell you how I feel because I was already isolating, and both of you had just contact me in times, and it's like a reminder, like, nah, I should say how I feel, and I'm feeling overwhelmed or whatever the case may be, but I shouldn't just hold it in and like, cause I'm not all right, you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Exactly. I think that
To isolation. So, cause I know,
we have to be kind. I think we have to be kind to ourselves
yeah,
in these steps here. Just because of what we just established and understanding when it came to what we know and what we already had understood. And to be able to change that is not something that's going to occur immediately. Having the awareness alone is not going to change your behavior. And that comes with time. And no matter, I don't know how many people are going to be able to know that they, might isolate and then immediately create the change in which they're not isolating. And so that's why I asked, like, wait, y'all still don't? Because I find myself still being able to, like, I catch myself just like you, Al. I'm
yeah,
like, no, you know what I'm saying? But that's better than the point of not catching myself, and I'm already
yeah,
in, and I'm
and
already
already
into
in,
deep.
yeah,
And so, we do need to also acknowledge the fact that it's ever changing and it's ever growing. I want to be able to not have that feeling of isolation for months, right? I might have it right now for like 2 weeks. I'll eat it. 3, you know what I'm saying? I'll fine, whatever. But I can't go
months, yeah,
months with this feeling of like I don't feel connected to folks. I can't do that anymore.
yeah,
And so that's like, and that's not gonna, and even when I go months without feeling the idea of isolation, that's gonna take years for me to be able to do, because there's been so many years I have never been able to like do it or practice it. You know what I'm saying? So that whole idea of kindness, one step at a time, you only got this yourself type of idea, everything will be okay as long as you put the effort in. Like, but it brought up the question, because I would be really surprised if y'all be aware of this and then I don't, I'm okay with that, and I would,
Nah, yeah.
that it's not true. I would just be
Mhm.
interested for myself to know, what was done to, like, do that, because I still struggle with the fact that I'm like not where I want to be, and I wish things were instant, but I know that I have to be nicer to myself and know that it's really not, and you're doing the best that you can,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, man. You bring up a good man. Love to the conversation again, because man, it's just it opens up so many doors for me, man. Love. I I do I do still find myself isolating. So, like when I'm it's when I'm unsure that this is a part of me. So like this is a what I'm about to say is really you have to remember how much I like really try to focus on the word balance and bring balance to both sides. Because like although I will, let's say, be triggered and think to isolate, awareness being key, still you do the thing, you isolate with awareness. I'm always giving myself grace to know, okay, and then be present in the moment to ask myself, like, is this isolation good or bad? Because it doesn't have to be one or the other, right? You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be these extremes. Do I even need this right now? And the funny thing that sometimes I see God doing to me, and I attribute it to God, because it's just so too coincidental. You know what I mean? That if me to say God is connection when I don't feel connected, you know what I'm saying? And I'm in that space of being disconnected and not feeling well. Why is it that randomly the energy, something comes and it hits me with a text? I bump into somebody, right? So many things that are telling me, hey, you could connect. You know what I'm saying? You could connect if you want. And then I have to deal with this thing of like, am I safe? Am I not? Why? And just, going with it, right? It's, the yin and yang, right? There's not just one, it's both, right? So, I mean, even to your point, I've started learning that none of this was ever really going to go away. There's nothing to really solve except understanding self, right? There's nothing for us to solve with each other. It's very much a self journey, that we do need each other. I'll say, Barry, I've missed, yeah, man, I've missed you. I tell you, I miss you.
Man.
I'm in a space now where I have to give grace to those, even hearing you do that to yourself, like knowing you knew me even before I knew that. In fifth or sixth grade, you had wrote something that like, oh, Rob, it was interesting
Like
seeing
eighth
how much.
grade, yeah. It was like
Yeah,
an
you
eighth
saw,
grade,
what I'm
yeah.
talking about? Like when you was like, he's mysterious, but I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
that is a kid not allowing himself to feel, and he just wants to not push that on his friends. So he's like, I'm gonna want to be the fun guy, but man, sometimes I just came from home and it wasn't fun. So it's like, yo, you want to talk about it? No, let's go do this, right? But it's amazing how you saw that, right? But you still had we look at the friendship we built, right? So it's like even now I'm feeling like when I miss my friends and they may be going through the same journey, I can't just yank them out of there, because they went through it. With love, I'll just send a text and say, hey, how you doing? Sometimes I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I feel that energy and I'm like, man, like it still doesn't feel like I'm hearing what I think, but who am I to know, right? And I'll just keep trying. I'll just keep being present. You know what I'm saying?
Like I don't think that we're like unique to patterns of life, right? Like I don't think
not at all, right? Yeah, no.
I think we're out like what we're like having a good friend and then growing up. I think it's part of what happens to everyone, like since the existence of humans. I think that now that you're sitting here talking, I think about like I always do this. Sorry if whatever, but I think about shit that could have happened like 100 years ago. Like right now, you just said when I want to feel connected, I'm gonna send out a text. Imagine trying to do that shit 100 years ago.
Are you gonna send a pigeon?
Oh no!
I'm gonna send
a letter to your friend.
I'm gonna send it. Yeah.
Bro, you gotta like give it to like some Native American to hopefully make it to the wherever, like, bro, just so he could read and be like, oh man, that's so nice. Like,
my boy misses me, man. My boy misses me. You know what I'm saying?
Think about that though. That's kind of interesting that they even had fucking carrier birds.
Like, that's what I'm trying to say.
Like, is that like anything could have happened to that bird?
Like, oh, send that shit to like whatever the hell. Like,
kind of weird. Yeah, for sure.
It's so but it's still part of the thing that that us humans like have. We still, no matter what, are gonna find a way to find connection, and we're also gonna have times in which we aren't feeling connected. Like, and how instant we have it now. Like it's instant now. It's an instant thing now where I could send a text to how many group chats in a thing, just joke around and send this meme, and we still. Is what I'm trying to say. We still, if you were go to your ancestors 100 years ago, they were most likely established some sort of feeling with what you just established, and that is like so human to us. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it's so something that we just yearn to always have. We yearn to have connection with people that we genuinely care about and genuinely impact us, and I think that's one of the most beautiful things about us as humans. You know, it's one of the things that, and when you follow it, it makes you more beautiful. Like when you say, let me connect, you know, let me reach out. Maybe there was a text message I didn't respond to. Let me respond to it. You know, like it don't matter how you can find it. I think the most beautiful things that we have, you know, there's people that you really, really care about. You're gonna connect with them every single day. Fine, that makes you beautiful. Then what about the ones that like were also impactful in your life and just aren't there anymore like that? You know, we still have to find it. We do it to the people that have passed away in our lives too. I think about my grandmother all the time. All the time I think about my grandmother. And that is one of the, I think thinking about her is a way that I could connect to her. You know, like it's still relevant regardless.
Yeah.
Something I want to do and feel connect and feel like I'm doing too. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like I want to feel like I'm connecting with the people that I care about.
Let's say something really quickly on that point, because that was beautiful. Love to your grandmother, brother, like, and everybody who was watching who lost someone, and Nano, you know. I find it interesting, you know, it's easy to let go sometimes with death, you know. I'm trying to, my brain was taking me to the difficulties of connection. Um, and how sometimes if we have issues with someone, right, unresolved issues, we could almost treat them like they passed, right? Like we don't text them, right? We don't want to even hear their name, right? Like I used to talking about them keeps them, right? And I was like, that's interesting. Some people make the decision to not want to hear a name, a voice, or be around somebody, talk to them. And yeah, my brain just took me there. You know what I'm saying? Like I think of the both and the beauty of it, you know, like Coco, right? You gotta put the picture in on the ofrenda, and you know it keeps them alive in the spiritual realm, right?
Yeah.
It's the beauty of that. I only think about that because I know that personally my spirit had a lot of difficulty dealing with the harsh realities of life. You know what I mean? I remember the first time even Alberi and I had a misunderstanding, and I felt let down from him. I kind of did a whole wrong thing. I talked about this before, where I made him feel like it was okay, but then clearly I'm walking 20 steps in front of him because I'm having to deal with something like I could never deal. Like I wanted it to be okay, but I couldn't deal. And I think that also just never sits well with me either, because I genuinely love people and I don't want to carry hate, right? You don't have to be around each other, you know what I'm saying? But do I hate you, right? I'll leave it there, open the floor to y'all, you know?
Because you saying that, and that's a very fantastic segue into
Grief,
the idea of this evening, not grief, which was dating. How much of that is in dating? How much of that is in dating? Like how much of this idea of I don't like you right now, but you know what I'm saying? Like I really don't like you right. I'm not gonna try to like how, but I say that because how much of that we run away from. You know, we run away from that shit nowadays instead of trying to sit there and accept that this is part of the process. When it comes to loving someone you say you love, when you say you're loving someone you say you love, you have to find out a way to sit there with that emotion. Not that you're going to carry that emotion and grow on that emotion, but you're going to have that emotion of like, I don't like you right now. I really don't like you right now. Doesn't mean I don't love you. Doesn't mean that I'm going to turn my back on you. Doesn't mean I'm going to abandon you. Doesn't mean none of that. But it really means at this moment in time, until I don't know when, hopefully the next 2 hours, maybe the next 10 minutes, maybe the next week or so, I'm not going to like you. And I feel that a lot of people will run away from that. And because they don't like them right now, they would just leave. And I think that goes against what I would like, right? For my deep connections of people that I care about. From everyone that I care about, siblings, parents, all my family. anyone that I'm deeply connected that impacted my life, I want to be able to be at a place where I don't like you right now. Not right now, I don't. And I'm gonna be at a place where I am gonna like you, and I'm always gonna love you. Like I don't take away from nothing. You know what I'm saying? If something happens, you need me, whatever, I might not like you, I'm still gonna show up. Right. And so it's easy for me to do it for family. It's not difficult. Like legit. I don't want to talk to them right now. That's fine. I'll figure it out.
You know, that's why I love that I was able to connect with your family, because my
You know what I'm
family
saying?
is not like that at all.
I'm
You
not.
know,
I'm not. There's not one member of my family that I think I'll hate forever. That's almost impossible.
when my
Yeah.
family don't like you,
I
it's
not like
like,
Yeah,
them
that's a
for-
blessing, man.
like I don't like. For me, like hate them.
don't invite that bitch.
We not vibing. I'd rather put it like that. Like we not vibing. Hate them. That's a harsh word for me. You know what I'm saying? Hate. We ain't vibing right now. That's
No,
acceptable, right?
no.
What about someone that's not my family? What about if it's someone that I deeply care about and has no foundation or understanding of my values, of my morals, of my upbringing?
Hmm.
How can I sit here and say that I'm going to get over the fact that I don't like them? They're not connected to me in that way.
Yeah.
I want to tap in. Oh, Alberto, do you have something to say?
No, I was just gonna, yeah, I'm echoing everything else said. It's definitely challenging. I do think, and I would just add that I think there's a space because it always it does depend on like someone's also safety because someone I do think there are lifestyles that could potentially be a danger to one another, but they could be fine on their own, you know.
Mhm.
And so I do think there is a limit depending on your safety. And if someone can agree that their lifestyle is dangerous to you and they're not forcing it on you and they're okay, then I think we'll be fine. But I think, some people want to live their lives and they try to force it on others, man, and it's not good. I mean, and obviously there's certain lifestyles that are just harmful to all communities, right? Which I think needs to be addressed separately. But I think that's where I can see the concept of like having love for somebody and enough to be like, you know what, I'm not gonna disrespect you. I acknowledge you, but stay away from me. You know what I'm saying? Like go that way with your shenanigans, but you know, yeah, and but it's not. It's definitely tough to love someone through some harm as well. You know what I mean?
That's that's
Through some
oh,
wrongdoing.
that's super rough. That's super rough.
Yeah, I
Love
think.
somebody do some harm. That's super rough.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
hard part, and in dating, I know that happens a lot because there's a lot of heartbreak and a lot of disappointments and a lot of frustrations that occurs in dating. And sometimes to some of the things you said, right? People get disappointed when it's just when things don't go their way in dating, and it's sometimes about just admitting the truth that like maybe it's just not it's a compatibility thing, and maybe it's not the same, and
Yeah.
um, and then there's heartbreak because of that, and now there's like this, yeah,
Yeah.
and then there's
and that's a grieving process right there. Yeah.
and that's a grieving process right there, right? Because
And how do you accept what you don't really want to accept?
I
well, yeah, I think it's having community, right? And I think having people you can talk to that be like, yo, you're not bugging out, and it's okay. Because again, I think some intimate partnerships do create a huge gap. I think when we don't have them because of the way most of us live our lifestyles in committed relationships, and when we're dating someone that we're really into, I think we that person really becomes like another you. And so then when you're not dating them no more, and then just like having half of you, or depending on how the relationship went, a big chunk of you missing, and then so you're rebuilding that side of you over again, and
yeah.
that's rough, and that is rough to do. And I think that is where the resentment comes from certain people resenting the other person because like you did this to me. There's this gap here because of you, and so, how do we get over it? I think is like, how do we fill that void, right? Like that void that huge void, not just a small one, that huge void that comes from a dating loss. Because you know, when we get intimate with somebody, you know, this is somebody we're laying next to, who we're literally fully naked and like naked in all types of, and you know,
Mhm.
we're
Ways.
in all types of ways, right? Like mentally, we say, well, you know, this is the person that you say what you feel, you know what
Vulnerable,
I'm
right,
saying?
right.
Like,
Right,
and
it's a different level of
then
vulnerability for sure.
that, and
Yeah,
so I think
same,
it's,
And
same.
you know,
it makes it even more intense on the other relationship that you have because of that.
yeah,
You know, we don't. I think that part is brushed lightly. You don't have an issue like your nuclear family can be the closest thing to understand what you're saying freely in your mind, but ultimately they're not, right? Ultimately it's the person that you're deciding that you want to be intimate with. They're the ones that more than likely will witness your most raw emotions, your most raw thoughts, even further than what your nuclear family, meaning your mom, your dad, your siblings. And so, like, that creates an even extra layer, right, of intimacy
mm-hmm.
that is often taken advantage of as far as like when things are being considered for like, what are we doing here, right?
Yeah,
Like, it's not easy for, I don't know about y'all, but it's not easy for me to be super vulnerable with my emotions. And when I decide to do that, that is a big step for me. I am not taking that lightly. And for anyone that hears me on my super big emotional whatever state, I'm going to hold them to like
yeah,
a very big appreciative super thing. And I just don't know if people do that because I might say something that's not correct because of that. You know what I'm saying? I might
mm-hmm.
say something that's I really don't know how to say it other than saying it this particular way, you know, and for someone that has to sit there and deal with what that means is, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
and accept what that is and really not take it to where it's not supposed to be. Like my mom
Mm.
ain't doing that. My mom will curse me out. My dad didn't do that. He'll curse me out. My siblings are gonna look at me like I'm crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
mm-hmm.
if I go to the purest of emotions type of idea, like somebody's is gonna have a thing. And when you decide to be with someone, you decide to be in your purest of emotions. And so when they don't accept you, it's taken into like this whole other thing. Like
Oh yeah.
all of this, right? Blow it up, blow it up. I don't know about y'all, that's me. Blow.
Yeah, audio. You know, well, you know, you mentioned that like they don't
It's
accept you no
such
more. Then it's
logic.
like,
I
you
will
know,
blow
you
the boom.
you know, it's hard. And I'm thinking, you know, Nips, that there's also like, you know, this is us right here again. I do think we do stand out because for the most part, um, the way we've been able, and you know, we've admitted that we still have ways to go in terms of the way we grieve and our vulnerability, but we're more advanced, I think, than some men who are closed off. And you know, I do think about those men who don't get the chance to even be that vulnerable with their partners, but to them, you know, it's like, nah, I've been very vulnerable,
Yeah.
and then they're gone, so now they don't even know what to do with their feelings because,
Right,
you
yeah.
know, and so then it comes out likely in other unharmful behaviors and self-sabotaging behaviors with like the alcoholism or engaging in like just really bad behavior, trying to make up for the fact that like they want to express that like, yo, I'm missing the other half of me, but they don't know how to say that because,
Yeah.
you know, they
Yeah.
don't have the capacity, they don't have the emotional like practice to even say that that's what's going on with them. But I've
So,
definitely met men who like that's what they're feeling, but they don't know how to express it. That like
Bro,
to just admit that like this person that just separated from them was a big part of their lives, and like they're gone, and like they missed that, and they missed out a lot more than they thought they would, more than they continuously tell themselves in their heads that they do.
low and slow, Papi.
You know. But
Low and slow. Low. You take everything with low expectations, right? And you slow it down
uh,
on the progress. You don't put high expectations. You know what I'm saying? Like
mm-mm.
I think we
low and slow. I like that.
it's slow, bro. It's low. It's literally one step at a time. You
I
won't get
never heard that before.
It's
It
no.
low and
sounds. I'm
slow.
not gonna lie to you. It sounds sexual, but it's just. No, it's just. That's just. It's just right now. It's just right now.
It's something I'm
Because I
trying.
just heard it the first time.
Yeah, it's a low and
Bro,
slow. Okay.
when it comes to relationship, trying to like verbalize Like I don't know. To be honest with you, I have too many examples of what successful 30+ year marriages look like. Like
Yo, where's the crowd after that,
I
bro?
cannot, I
Yeah.
cannot. I
Nah,
know
because that's a big key,
a
a
lot,
major key.
people don't understand how much of an impact that has to do with
Shout out to your parents.
how I approach my relationships.
Mhm.
It is with trying to convey that idea, trying to reach that ultimate goal. I probably am too old to reach a 30+ year relationship, but I'm fine enough to go into the 20s. Okay, fine. So what I'm trying to do is trying to verbalize and trying to really have an understanding of what are the things that can contribute to something like that. Literally, nowadays everything seems to be so fast paced, so moving this way. You're not doing this, you're not doing that. And what are the things that all of these people that I know that have been married for 30 years have been what have they been doing? They literally have been just taking it easy, giving everything its own time, not rushing everything. We had a bad day today. We're probably going to have another bad day tomorrow. Now, if we continuously have bad days with no improvements, it's probably a bigger problem than we thought. Like this idea of like, oh, I got a problem with you today. I got to feel good about you tomorrow. We're putting ourselves in bad positions when it comes to relationships.
Yeah.
In
It's very conditional. It's very conditional.
super bad positions.
Yeah,
He's willing to be with this person that we love and trust. If you're with this person that you don't know if you love or you trust, why are you there? Why are you there? Why are you this seriously? Why are you there? You should just be dating, going out to whatever and do what you got to do. But intimately in this way, why are you there? You should know what you're getting yourself into, because that's number one thing, right? If you're saying you want, that idea, you have to trust and be able to know that this person is not going to do whatever your 3 non-negotiables are. I don't know what they are for you. I'm not going to sit there and tell them what they are for you, but you should at least have 3. 5 is great, but minimum of at least 3, right? Shit.
as many as you need, bro.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's somebody for everybody.
As
You
many
gotta be
as you
honest
want
with
to
yourself.
dictate that you're going to need for required to be able to be like happy, you need to know that this person can at least give you some resemblance of that.
Yeah.
And
again, everybody's different, right?
knowing that they can give you that, everything else is low and slow. If you feel that this person that you're with can love you in the way that you want to be loved, everything else should be considered when you have an issue. After we run away so quickly, our generation, immediately we run into a problem, dip, screw you, I don't want to talk to you. But in my case, I have too many, like I said, 30+ year marriages around me for me to sit there and just accept that as a possibility. I will sit there and be like, this is today. You don't like me today. Have to continue tomorrow. We have to continue the day after that. We have to continue even a week from now. We have to continue 2 weeks from now. And I just don't know if some people have that mentality, bro, to like be able to understand it. Literally, that's what it takes.
Yeah, I don't know if it's my trauma. I don't know what it is, but sometimes, and I'll speak from just my own personal experience. Sometimes I'd be just wondering if people, I'm too, like, I don't know if I'm too nice or something that people can't tell. Maybe they don't like me. You know what I mean? But they won't, right? Like, I be wondering if people are just nice to me because I'm nice, and then I have to discern if that's a friend from me, because I could be friendly to everybody. I'll be nice, you know what I'm saying? But is this person like, you know what I mean? Do I want to hang out with this person? Do I really fuck with this person, or am I just being I'm just a nice guy, like, and vice versa to them too. Maybe they're just a nice person, right? And they'll like invite me somewhere, but I gotta really read the room because not everyone's transparent, so not everybody feels that it's easy for them to be like, hey, I just don't vibe with you like that. So I feel like it's a sometimes it's a problem for me because I could overread, you know what I'm saying? So that's why communication and transparency has been helpful. But I have a problem now with trusting people's words, to be honest, man. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's that
So
trust, trust
trust is a
building.
thing.
Yeah. Well, there's a
Yeah,
trust building process that I think should happen every single time, man. And I think it's okay to have those boundaries,
yeah,
you know. But
People do say a lot.
yeah,
yeah, bro. I
yeah,
feel like they, and it's like it's funny too because the last breakup I had was nasty, but there was still always so much good you could find, right? And I think of them when I say like, even there was a quote that they kept telling me, and it's funny because now I had to reflect and put that on me, and now I see for others like they would say that the road to hell is paved by good intentions, and I never understood that shit until I started realizing that it was like, oh, you think that I'm just, and not just me, right, but anybody who is just trying to be good, have good intentions, that they won't be honest when everything is just not good, right? And they won't just sit there and they have to be Mr. Fix It or Mrs. Fix It or whatever it is like that. And I was like, so it's like all your good intentions will just not lead it to anywhere good, right? Good, like it's not just you. And I was like, interesting. I do see, right? People just trying to be good, and it's like it's not about bad, good or bad, right? Express yourself. Maybe you gotta also learn how to say these quote unquote bad feelings in a healthy way, right?
And
Like I don't like you today, right? And maybe if you're in a relationship, no, you don't want some that could be triggering. I don't like you today because I've had the feeling where I don't like a person, but I don't tell them that, but they could feel it from me.
yeah,
And I think I'm doing them a service by not saying it, but they could feel it.
it's
So I never learned how to just be like,
it's
you
very
know,
it's very difficult to vocalize that.
yeah,
It's not easy to do that
in any relationship, yeah, even
because
with coworkers,
it doesn't sound good. It
right, right,
doesn't sound good. But I guess what I'm trying to say ultimately is I feel that I can establish and create and build a relationship with someone that I can be my ultimate vulnerable person, ultimate raw, and say that to them that they're not going to take it in an offensive way.
yeah. You
Like
should believe that, bro. If you believed anything otherwise, it would
we
be,
feel that I can build that.
yeah,
Now, am I gonna say it and it's going to go badly? Am I gonna have to work on some things like to create a relationship of trust to understand that when I do say that, this is what it means? Sure. And I am 100% willing to go through that battle. But I also need the other person to be 100% willing to go
yeah,
to too. I can't sit here and put all this hopes and feelings and expectations to going through this battle when the other person thinks that it doesn't matter. Because guess what? It's gonna outweigh all of everything that I'm doing,
yeah,
regardless. Right. And so that's the when I say build, it's is this person going to do that? You don't really ultimately you don't know. You just hope
yeah,
you could say, like you just said, yes, I'm here willing to do that. And then one day be like, I'm tired.
Mhm.
But that's the risk that you run into. You can't, I don't think that there is going to be enough safeguards for you to achieve that. At some point, all of those safeguards gotta come down. All of them. All of them. Put as many safeguards in front of you to try to like prevent hurt. But I feel like if you want that ultimate relationship in which you're deeply connected to somebody that they're not going to judge you, you're gonna have to put down barriers. It is not gonna be unless it's gonna be one of these Caribbean ass marriages where women know that they gotta shut up and men could just do whatever the hell they want to do. That's not what we're talking about here. That's not what I'm talking
Right.
about. I could do that, whatever. I could just do that right now. Like that's not what I'm saying. I don't want that. I want to be able to share lovely memories with the person that I'm with, and I want to be able
Build.
to be myself with them at many times as possible.
Yeah,
And I know won't be able to do that all the time, but I want to be doing it as many times as possible. And for that, I need to build something. It's not something that's just like established on the way in. That shit is whack. Bullshit is whack. Where like, oh, gotta clean my house. What the fuck? I don't need you to clean my damn house. I can clean my own damn house. I can cook my own damn food. I need somebody to listen to me when I come home stressed as hell about how bad the work they went.
Yeah.
And I need you to listen to me before I take a shower.
Wait. So you're saying like I wanna get this right. Like a scenario, right? Like, but and we're saying dating, right? Not like you're living with each other. So you're dating and you're having your day. They have their day. Y'all, you come together. They come over to your crib or whichever what it is. Right? I'm not saying a gender, right? Man or woman. You come over and you haven't tidied up. You're saying you want like, and I agree, but I wanted to make sure I'm hearing it right. Like, don't be the person that's like, oh, they're coming over. I gotta clean up. Like, breathe easy and be the person that's happy that they come over and you're spending time in it.
Yep. In it together. This is how the day went. You know,
so I gotta call myself.
You know that I ain't dirty.
I gotta call myself out, bro.
You know that I ain't dirty. You're gonna come in here and you're gonna see it a mess, but you know I ain't dirty. You know that I ain't get to it today. You know that today was a day that I couldn't, whatever. And that's fine. You're not gonna sit here and try to make me feel some type of way because I had a whole ass day, and now you're gonna
no.
type of way because I ain't tidy enough. Now, if I'm the type of person I haven't been doing nothing, and you coming over and you because like if I'm not at work and I'm home, I'm cleaning this house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now, if you're noticing something that doesn't go by my normal set of standards, then be concerned.
Yeah. It's all about knowing your partners, man, and know who you, and also paying attention, I think, so that you can get to know them.
Exactly.
Because I think people, I also think sometimes we get caught up, man, and try to ignore that we are with who we're with, and so we admit, and sometimes, I think men, we sometimes fall for the attraction piece, and so,
that was always my problem.
We fall for the looks and make excuses for when we know what's in front of us is like there's not good for us. It's not good for us. I've got to say sometimes because I know it's not. I don't think it's something that's exclusive to men.
I don't think so either.
I think women are definitely guilty of doing that as well. Of knowing what's in front of them is not good and then making excuses for other reason and likely attraction, probably the physical stuff. So, but fellas, I do want to wrap up soon because I do have to get off this call, man. I know this has been great, man, and I do wish we could have gone for longer actually. So that's why I like these conversations, man. I mean, I could have started earlier anyway. I had the Hora Santa, which to kind of conclude with grieving, I do kind of tying it back to grieving. And with the complications of dating, because I think there will be a part two to this. There will be a part two to this. There was other questions that we had prepared for this panel that I still want to get to as far as dating and our experiences. But I do think with grieving, we talked about it as just something that's complicated for men. I do appreciate and I'm grateful for the cultural practices I think that do exist to allow us to also grieve. I know some folks may not be religious. So wherever you believe in, I do think it's important to add some sort of practice of prayer, just whatever your form of praying is or who you pray to, or you don't pray to anybody, but any form of prayer, I think as a practice while grieving, because I think meditation in that form is very powerful. I think if you can do it with people, it's even more powerful. I'm in the Hora Santa. I don't know all the prayers, man. I don't know. I'll be honest. Not as bad. I don't know the prayers.
I didn't know not one.
But I do, even for me as someone who, as I've said right here, like I isolate, right? I still do this thing where I'm like, should I say how I really feel, right? So just noticing how like even being in that space, even though I don't have to say anything, feels healing. I could feel the healing in that. And so, yeah, I do think for folks who are having a hard time, who are still thinking about the stuff, you're tapping in and still grieving something. I do think where you can find it, if it's again there are churches, if that's if you do believe, that you can go to. I do think having a ritual for something you've lost is also very important. Again, whether a relationship or whether a person. So I think whether keeping their name alive or doing things in their name that they would love to do is a great way to still acknowledge them, accept the new reality, but you know that they're with you in this new way, right? So you set up a ritual for yourself. I think some families do right reunions in someone's name, a yearly stuff, a quarterly stuff, and I think that's amazing, right? Because it's a new way of being with this person in this new reality, and still acknowledging them and acknowledging that they're not here. And I think that helps the grieving process as well, another form of healing. So having a ritual of some sort that you could develop if you're going through a breakup, right? I think, man, if there's a little ritual you could tell yourself, maybe monthly, you know, we used to go on dates with this person. I missed that. So now maybe you go on dates with yourself, Rob said. You could play with yourself. Or you could play with yourself. But you can go on, you know,
I ain't say nothing. I ain't say
yeah,
nothing.
go on a
That's
little,
AI.
you
That's
know, maybe
AI.
you go on a little date with yourself. Maybe you write a little right, but I think a ritual to give you time, and I think to not forget that there's this thing that you still need to heal, right? Because I think with grieving, we go through shit. It becomes like that little annoying cut, you know what I'm saying? That could still
Oof.
be there, but we don't cover it. You feel me? It's still there. It's probably bleeding a little bit, but because you know we could go on about, we forget to cover it. So I think having
Yeah,
a
it could get
ritual.
worse.
Right. So having a ritual and having something to get you back to that place where you do have time to acknowledge this thing that you lost and you miss and it hurts. You know that little that little cut. Now you putting that band-aid on it. You know you're replacing the band-aid and make you put a new one. Like, you know we good. We getting through. And so I think having rituals can serve as that purpose. And if you know I don't want to turn somebody off when I say ritual, but you know I hope you know what I mean by like having a practice, something that
Well,
allows you to
I would like to.
acknowledge the pain
Yeah, it
and
could just be consistency, brother. Right? Like
well,
be
in
consistent,
yeah,
right?
but that you practice, right? Because it's something
Right,
that
right.
you sit and
That
do,
word,
right,
practice
right, right.
word.
You
That's the
sit and
word.
do to commemorate, acknowledge that you're still, you know, where you are, right? Like
Yeah,
whether
yeah,
again you're losing something that is of significance and has caused you some pain. So that's my
yeah.
two
Look to
cents. I'll
that.
say to kind of like as things that I'm thinking about, things that I engage in, I try to do more of, for things that I'm still grieving the losses of, and yeah. I'll throw it to you guys to give us your closing thoughts.
Go ahead, Nips. The,
But I've said a lot.
Real. What about you, Rob?
no, love. You know, I'm in a place of the grieving, right? I feel like I've said that for I said the grieving, like the YouTube. I'm there. I'm even there, like right now. Um, you know, and that's why I was thinking like it's balance because like you actually lost someone, and it's love to that way. The word, huh? Oh yeah, love. So and me is like I get like the people are still there. It just feels like I lost them. The connection feels like it's gone, and it feels like I can't um be the only one who in their heart feels like willing to water, right? Sometimes I feel like I don't, what I'm saying? My cup ain't full to give it, you know what I'm saying? Um, and I also want to give love to that piece because I think, we're all three different men trying to be better and trying to we're just in all different places. And
Yeah.
I love hearing that, to
Yeah.
be honest,
I
I
mean,
really it's motivating, it's nice to not think that everyone has to be either on the same speed or get to the same destination. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's we don't choose the thing about grieving. I think I've discovered is that we're only allowed to go through that process, right? But we ultimately like there are some things that we don't choose as part of the process, right? Like you might think that it's best for you to grieve in whatever way, and ideally that might work for you, but in reality, what if grieving entails a return, right,
Yeah.
before ultimate loss? What if what you don't decide that? You don't know what goes on. Obviously, when someone like passes on and moves away, you can't do a return,
Yeah.
spiritual return or whatever that you're still like going through. But for grieving friendships, grieving relationships, I've experienced it on the point where I've been able to let it go fine or not fine, but then there are other times where I needed that person one more time before I understood what the before I actually got to a point where it was like I was able to keep it covered up to heal. I don't get to decide what the driver is. I only get to decide what I could engage with. You know what I'm saying? Like, and maybe sometimes, let's say, you know, you pass on that opportunity to connect with someone one more time. Who knows? It might help you. It might not help you. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say it just happened for me in those particular instances that they were helpful for me to say everything was done here in the best way possible. And I can finally say I can move on. Prior to a connection, I was probably going crazy. It was probably like, what the hell's going on? What's happening? Where's my life? Where am I going? What am I doing? Who am I? And then there was a connection in which may have been a phone call, may have been a bump on the street in a coffee shop, however, and that alone would have been enough for me, and that's what I needed. You know, I who am I to know where's the thing that I'm gonna need? I think that I want to never speak to that person again, and move on. However, go to the gym and sweat that bitch out. But maybe sometimes I might need that one more to say, you know what, that was the way that it is. And end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that we might grieve a particular way, and life in itself, the way that it works, because it's not just about us, it's about a collective. When you're grieving, there's someone else involved, might throw something else at you that you're probably just gonna have to accept anyway.
Acceptance, yeah.
And hopefully it's with some support, man. But with that being said, man, I'm gonna just put a clap for us, man, to wrap this up. One good, great conversation, man. I appreciate you gentlemen, you know, for hopping on this panel discussion as well. We covered grieving and dating for today, and then we'll probably continue covering some form, as I said, of dating as well on a follow-up panel discussion when we get on here live. And I think we might have some other guests, Rob, maybe, perhaps, maybe no. We'll see for the next time we're here, man. So it'll be great, man. More voices we can get on a panel discussion, I think it'll add to the conversation. So thank you both, man. I'm gonna hit the clap one more time, and then we won't do this, man. Peace, y'all. Thank you for those for tuning in. There was a couple people that kind of ended up tuning in, so that's pretty good.
Thank you.